deeper connection that's leading me. And I'm lost in your love when you hold me. Just hold me, 'cause I don't wanna run from your heartbeat. Your heartbeat, no, 'cause I'm lost in your love. I can't break the fall, you're taking it all. I'm lost in your love. I'm lost in your love. I'm lost in your love. No words can change the future of us. The waves, they break, but we are enough. The only direction that I'll ever need is a deeper connection that's leading me. And I'm lost in your love when you hold me. Just hold me, 'cause I don't wanna run from your heartbeat. Your heartbeat, no, 'cause I'm lost in your love. I can't break the fall, you're taking it all. I'm lost in your love. I'm lost in your love. I'm lost in your love. Separated through the miles, searching for the answer to our trials. We came so far through our weakness. We found a love, even the stars between us won't marry us. One day we can be together, and this moment could last forever. I say that you and I have found.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back for round 4 at Watkins Glen. I am here with Reagan, and I have a question for you to start off. Are you ready for this?
I sure am.
Alrighty. Do you happen to know, Reagan, what is at 7855 Finch Avenue West, Brampton, Ontario, postcode L6T0B2?
Are you about to DDoS someone?
I am not. No. What's your guess for what is at that address?
My guess for what is at that address. In what was it? Finch, Ontario, or was Finch
Finch Avenue West in Brampton, Ontario.
Brampton, Ontario? What do they got in Brampton? Probably nothing. I think it's an empty lot. It's some old farmland that got taken over after the war.
You would be incorrect, unfortunately. Brampton does have something. It is a Wet n Wild Toronto water park. So that is what is there. Unfortunately, this is not Wet n Wild Toronto. This is a Wet n Wild Watkins Glen that we got going on today. First rain race of the season, I believe. Am I correct, Reagan?
We're not skipping over that. Jesus Christ. That's what you came up with. Okay. Okay. That was I need some time to process that one. But I think theoretically you are correct. The last race was supposed to be wet, but it ended up being mostly dry, if I'm not mistaken. Wow. Wow, you found the postal code and everything.
Yeah, I googled just Wet and Wild, sorry, and I found there's a Wet and Wild water park in North Carolina, which is only a few hours away from me. But then Wet and Wild Toronto, I was like, Reagan's from Canada, maybe he'll know this water park, because you're supposed to know everything within and about Canada, right?
Of course. Of course I know everything about and within Canada. It's a relatively small, intimate community. So, I was, of course, joking around. I know the Brampton Wet and Wild. I'm sure you had a lot of fun with that in your search history, or you will.
I did. And
Um,
what's
mhm.
interesting about Wet and Wild, so there's a chain kind of various water parks by the name of Wet and Wild. That one in North Carolina that I mentioned is one of them. They also have one in Cancun and Sao Paulo in Brazil. But the Canada one is not part of this chain. They just also happen to be called Wet and Wild.
Interesting, interesting. Well, we have the original Pancake House in Canada is explicitly different than the original Pancake House in the United States. Completely different. Same names, so there's something for you if you're crossing between the borders and you're looking for a pancake. Expect some discrepancies there.
Yep, that was something you and I found out last year.
Hmm.
Why does it have to be wet, Kieran Macy? It has to be wet because the
God willed
admins
it.
say so. Did you say
What's
God
that?
willed it, Reagan?
I did.
I mean, admins, God, they're basically one and the same. Um,
Hmm.
no, I mean we did. I think it was last season, Watkins, and it was dry. The wetness adds to the excitement. Tracy, it is indeed a wet one. We're very ready for this. It's going to
Hmm.
test our drivers to the limit. Something that I'm definitely excited for. I don't know if this driver is excited for it, but we're missing a good number of our top tier drivers. So you can see Carl there, but I'm going to try and quickly scroll to the sign out channel. We are missing Marcus Ness. We're missing V-Guard, one of our pro drivers who is participating in the iRacing Sebring 12-hour race. We are missing, this is the one I wanted to bring up, Nico Dudek, our driver who's won the first 3 races of the season, is absent today. So that means we're going to have our first other winner of the season. Reagan, how are you feeling
Yes.
about that?
I mean, it's always exciting. I mean, we're always looking for close racing. And it's its own source of entertainment to have a dominant driver at the front of the grid, the way that we've seen Dudek winning race after race. But at the same time, what's the camera doing? There we go. Um, but at the same time, it always gives it gives that little bit extra incentive to our top drivers today. Sometimes when you got a driver like Dudek out there who's finishing 30 seconds in front of everyone else, it doesn't really feel like there's a shot at that victory. So these races where that driver may be missing just become more and more critical. And we've got a lot of drivers here: Richard Walters, Probs, all the pro drivers who are definitely hungry for a shot at this victory today. Last season, I think we had a different dominant driver out there, and
Ooh,
I believe it was only Carl Nordell and not Magnus. There was only two drivers last season who actually
oh,
had a shot at or at a victory other than our one dominant driver, Carlin Oystein. Oystein won plenty. There was one other driver who won a race.
Was it
Between
Pashov?
Carl. It might have been Pashov. I'd love to go back and find out. It was not Kieran Macy. Certainly not if they drive like that once the race starts up. So they are back to the pits. Jump over. I believe Weiser here is a new driver for us. Is that Austria? Is that the Austrian flag?
I believe so. That does remind me of the times I've loaded into the Red Bull ring. I think that is the flag that is displayed. Christian, let's go car racing. We are going to have a motor race today, as our good old Michael Masson would say. But yeah, Weiser is new. Finley O'Reilly there in P10 is new as well. I think everyone else has been well established in our league thus far.
I think you would be correct. Yes, Finley, another new name. Happy to have them on the grid in the silver class, and then of course Weiser up in the pro class. So we will see what these drivers have to do. Tricky conditions for their first race. Nobody, well, I shouldn't say nobody likes a rain race, but definitely not a lot of people's favorites. Just makes the margin for error that much smaller in a game that already has small margins for error. So we'll see how our drivers are able to handle it, especially through the bathtub. There is a section that it's already so easy to lose the car if you're pushing too hard. And now you've got rain on the curbs to deal with. Nobody likes rain on the curbs, and rather, I should say, driving on the curbs in the rain. So these drivers have their hands full here at Watkins Glen today.
Yeah, you were saying before, a lot of drivers probably won't like this. Some might. I will say two drivers that probably don't like the rain are you and me, based off of our iRacing excursions last night.
We do not have to talk about our iRacing excursions last night. They did not happen, they did not exist, and they will not be talked about.
Yeah, Reagan made a good comment after that race that it was lucky that we wanted to stream it. My PC, unfortunately, could not handle streaming, running iRacing, handling the rain on that platform. All those things combined, I was not getting good frame rates, so we did not stream it. Probably a good thing, because it did not go well, to say the least. We don't need to say much more than that. What we do need to say is Tyler Babin currently leading qualifying with a 152.6 on the board, I believe. Ooh, and Richard Walters just pips it by about 0.3, a 52.2. I want to say, and Carl, 51.6.
Big jump up to Carl.
Our fastest lap banner at the top isn't going to be able to keep up with all these lap times coming through.
I don't think so.
But yeah, I think in practice, we didn't really talk about practice times. I want to say the fastest was in the 53s maybe, so conditions definitely a little bit better for our drivers here. Or they're just pushing, maybe they're pushing harder, maybe running quality fuel they might not have in practice. So yeah, with petrol being taken out of that car might be making them lighter and easier to get around this wet Watkins. More like Watkins Glen, am I right?
Hey, that was good. That was good. I like that. Christian doesn't have this map. Oh, Christian, did you not buy the DLC?
Gotta get that America's pack. It might be on sale. I know Steve's been having some sales recently.
I think the sales ended on the 21st.
Oh, really? Yeah, I think you're right. Well, let's look up the current pricing for you, Christian, if you wanted to get it. The American Track Pack, it's $17.99 US dollars. That is a little pricey, especially when you can wait for it to go on sale. Somebody who does have this map, Kurt Peters, set a 50.7, 9/10 faster than Carl Nordell, currently leading the top of the boards. And I want to say, like, fast lap times around here in the dry are around 43, 44. So the fact that we're only 5 or 6 seconds off of that dry pace is sublime. I think speaks maybe to the conditions. Maybe the rain isn't as strong as it could be, but also to the skill of our drivers. Being able to only lose a couple seconds in the rain is quite excellent.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. We talked about skill, right, as Laguerre makes a bit of a mistake there, so not the most skillful lap from him, but he'll be coming right back around to try again. Stephen, we want to get the deltas up there, see how our drivers are getting on lap to lap. We've got a couple drivers, Richard Walters being one of them, who's showing a big half-second improvement here with some amount of lap left to go. We'll see if he's able to keep it together as he comes in towards, what turn is that? There are turn names here. The toe. This is the toe, turn 7. Not a lot of turns, only 11 of them, which means you want to be getting them all right if you can. I mean, I guess you would want to be getting them all right regardless, but the point still stands. We do have Jorge Esteban, second driver into the sub-51s, 50.862 for Jorge. Very nice lap there as we see Richard unfortunately not keeping it together the way he would like and is slowly losing time there. Who's gaining a bit of time is Carl Nordell. Pretty big gaps in our times from the top down as we see Hashov showing himself to be a formidable driver today into the sub-51s. But yeah, after our top 4 drivers, bit of a jump down to Carl in the rest, so they're all going to be wanting to get a move on here. Good evening.
Hey, Nico. Sorry you aren't on track with us tonight, but I'm sure our drivers on track are very excited that they won't have to contend with you for today's race win.
So you get to watch the show today rather than be part of it. Jorge here and Pashov kind of swapping between showing off their best. Rosen Pashov is now 3/10 up on his lap, but we also have Kurt Peters 3/10, 4/10 up on his lap. So we've got drivers here right at the top, all pushing, trying to get top spot. You can see there's a lot of time left for multiple of our drivers. Have to get up at like 2 a.m. Ooh. That's not fun.
Not fun at all, as Kurt Peters goes about 3/10 faster. No, 2/10 faster.
2/10 faster to a 5.72.
Yep.
But Pashov 4/10 up with only a couple turns left. Here's turn 10. That looks neat and tidy. Ooh, he's right on the limit there as he jumps over for turn 11. And a little tap on the wall on the exit, and that is going to slow him down to the point where he has lost all of those 4/10. I think maybe a tiny little gain, but not enough after that last turn. Stays in second place with half of qualifying over.
Yeah, I think he had a .792 before, so about 700ths of an improvement, but we know he has a lot in the tank there. Still a battle on for pole position. Jorge Esteban showing a 2 to 3/10 improvement. That might get him up in the mix of contention for pole position. Marcel Weiser, again, new driver to Bez as of this race, could be in that fight. All these top 4 drivers only separated by about 2.5 tenths right now, but they have all been flashing. They all have extra time they could be finding. With 10 minutes left, they have still a little under half of our qualifying session to find that time and make it happen.
Yeah, still lots of time to get out there and show what you can do. And Steven, I have some good news. I have a feeling that the autopilot is working right now.
Really?
It is. It is working. I think it just needed some time and cars on track to sort itself out.
Oh, that is excellent, as is Jorge's most recent lap, puts him P1. No, it doesn't.
No,
Kurt Peters responds. 18 thousandths of a second is the lead between P1 and P2 right now.
Yeah, everyone is just pushing at the top, trying to get that top spot, and only 2 tenths separating first to third place. 3 tenths between first and fourth place. So very tight at the top. With Carl Nordell and Richard Walters both wanting to jump into the fray there as well. Magnus is one of the only drivers on track who looks like there's any chance at an improvement in their current lap. I think Carl Nordell just started a lap, and we'll see how he gets along. Magnus at the moment is dead bang even, and we'll see if he's able to find some grip that he did not have on the previous lap. That looked all right, but it's still matching even with his previous best of a 51.820.
Yeah, we have a lot of drivers I feel like pretty close together. Should be some good battles going on all throughout the race. 80 minutes in the wet. Reagan, would you take tires at your pit stop, or would you assume that the wets are going to have a little bit more longevity in them?
I am always a little risky when it comes to tires. I can't help myself. I think I would not take tires. I am not fully sure how the tires degenerate here.
Did you hear that?
I heard a little bit and then it cut off.
It was just "Oh baby." So if you heard that,
perfect.
then it worked.
Oh baby, we got ourselves a follower, Stork. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Happy to have you. I assume that is a Tristan Stork, who's currently. Let's go take a look. Nope, that's Paul Krabs. Come on, autopilot. Here we go. Take a look at that bonnet. Beautiful bonnet there. I find our followers all have the best bonnets. And a nice rear end, Stork.
Would you say you're more of a bonnet or a rear end kind of guy, Reagan?
Yeah, I was waiting for that one. You know, I'm always a fan of seeing what's under the hood, but that's what's most important to me. Oh, another one! We got another fan. Oh, what am I seeing in the chat here? Carl got stood up? God damn.
Well, yeah, because he was saying that he wasn't going to make it, and then I saw him here, and I was like, what's happening? I don't know if that's real that he got stood up. If it is, Carl, I hate to hear that. That is not what anyone would want to have happen.
Did you tell her that you won a race in Season 4 of Bez Racing Team? Because maybe if she knew that...
Well, and then she probably was like, wait, Bez already had Season 4. They're on Season 5 right now. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm not going to go on this date.
Maybe that's it. You know what they say, what did you do for me lately? What did you win in Bez Racing Team Season 5? Okay.
Well, I don't think I ever... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I hope driving Bez Racing Team is a good consolation prizes.
There's Richard Walters going on.
Who was that? That was 642. Richard Walters. Here, let's do a 30-second. I got it. I already got it. I know what I'm doing. Don't you worry.
So this is coming through the second to last corner. He's going to lose it. Ooh, and definitely goes a little bit wide. Second to last corner and the final corner.
And just gets on the throttle after missing the apex. A little too early, hits the curbs, and blocks the pit exit or pit entry in anger. I understand that. I'd be angry about that one too.
He is back on track, ready to go. He wanted to pit, surely. I agree. I think he was just testing a novel pit entry, rapid deceleration, to make sure he does not get a pit speed stop-and-go penalty. Kurt Peters still on top. Carl has gotten infinitely close to Jorge Esteban, only 7 thousandths between them. Pashoff still has not been able to improve on his position. Marcel Weister, I don't think, has improved his time in a few laps. Richard Walters, I'm a little surprised to see only in P6. He is somebody who has been fighting for our top positions the last few races, and if memory serves, I think he was P2 in qualifying at Barcelona, so that BMW may not be too happy around these wet streets of Watkins Glen.
Well, we just saw BMW spin out. So, yeah, it might just be a case that that car is not happy here in the rain, or it might just be a case that Richard is hurting to get together a lap that he wants. So, only 3 minutes left to answer that question, as drivers are going to be either starting their last out laps or getting in their last couple fast laps here. As we see Carl, who looks to be, maybe he was, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong delta. Carl is very much not going to be gaining any time here, but hopefully he's going to be setting himself up for a couple attempts at improvement with just a couple minutes left in qualifying. 2:45 on the clock.
2:45 on the clock, and his relative was black, which means he invalidated that previous lap. So that may have been why he was backing off. Jorge Esteban also invalidates. As Marcel Weiser, P1.
Yeah, I noticed he was going purple there on the final turn, and Weiser out of nowhere, brand new to the scene with a 50.492. As something froze for me. Hopefully it's just for me. But a big lap from our newcomer here, supplanting Kurt Peters, and as well, we have another driver who's currently showing purple. It's Rosen Pashoff. So all of our top 5 is pushing, trying to get that pole position. And it looks like it could really be anyone's game at this point. We've got Peters and Nordell on laps showing green. Richard Walters is up a couple tenths as well, though he needs a lot more than a couple tenths if he wants to be fighting for pole. But lots of action left in these last couple minutes. I'm sure our drivers are going to be pushing and trying to find as much time as they can. And it seems like Pashov has found plenty of time here. He's 0.5 up according to the Delta, and that is going to be a 50.122. Beautiful lap from Rosen Pashoff.
Yeah, beautiful lap, and still showing green, showing purple, so he could be making another improvement. Kurt Peters was flashing yellow. I'm not sure if he got spun. Richard Walters, I think, has been behind a little bit of traffic, or maybe that was Kurt Peters I was getting mixed up. I think it was Kurt Peters was sitting behind traffic. He might have slowed down to get himself out of there, but his delta has not been changing. I don't know if he's still out on track. As Carl returns to the pits, calls it a day. Marcel Weiser has also called it a day. I think a lot of drivers are just not calling it quits, but calling it pits, you could say.
You're just full of them. I can't keep up.
Kurt Peters up a little bit, so might be able to nab P2 away from Marcel Weiser. Only 15 thousandths between them, 18 thousandths between P3 and P4, 7 thousandths between them. So if we look P2 to P5, there's only 4 hundredths of a second between 4 drivers. That is crazy, as Kurt, I think, was doing a little Tokyo drifting through the bus stop there. That Ferrari 296 going sideways left and right through there, but still showing a slight improvement. Right now, he and Nikinen down in P10 are the only drivers showing purple. Richard was slightly flashing green, but now down a tenth on his best. As Pashoff has pulled into the pits, he will not improve on that 50.1.
Yeah, it looks like we are just about finished up here. I also want to make note, places 6 to 8, all within just less than a tenth as well. So we're going to be having fights. Oh my God. 500 laps of Sebring? Oof.
Yeah, I mean, I was practicing for that race. I was not doing 500 laps, Reagan. Maybe that's where we messed up.
Maybe it was, yeah. Yeah, I think maybe we just... I know I didn't dedicate enough time to it. Certainly, Richard did. And with that, I think we are just about done here. We've got ourselves a pole sitter, Rosen Pashov, with Weiser a good 3/10 back. Pashov with a very dominant pole position here, very Verstappen-esque, as we've been seeing through this current F1 season.
Indeed. Yeah, I was going to ask questions about qualifying, but for the folks who haven't seen it, I don't want to do any spoilers, so we don't have to talk about F1. We can keep talking about our good old ACC. And speaking of talking about it, we can talk about this track. Reagan, are you ready for our track walk and overview?
I have never been more ready for anything in my life, Stephen. Apart from all of the things that I've been more ready for in my life, but that's irrelevant to this stream. So let's get going. We don't talk about what happened yesterday at Sebring. It didn't happen. We never joined the race. As here at Watkins Glen, a much nicer track to us recently, we go into turn 1. Not a lot of track names here. Apparently there is a track name there, the 90. I don't have the same names that this does, but we've got turns 2, 3, and 4, the sweeping flat S's. Flat as long as you get it right, but if you get it wrong, you're going to be bonking into a wall. We're on the back straight into turn. They don't even call it a turn here, but we've got the bathtub, the inner loop, before what is called the outer loop, officially listed as turn 5 on my track map, which is very strange. Into the chute, very tricky, lots of long sweeping corners here. You can see not a lot of sharp edges anywhere on this track before we're into the toe of what I like to see as a praying person down on their knees. They have found God and are happy about that. We've had the heel. I don't know what I'm saying. We're into turn 9. Slow turn. Before turns 10, you really need to get over quickly for turn 11. And there you go. That is a lap of Watkins Glen. Very, again, smooth, lots of fast sweeping corners here. So our drivers are going to want to be carrying as much speed as they can. Here, the AOR lap about 2.4 seconds faster than the real life GP4 lap here at Watkins Glen. You're going to see some of that sweeping action here live as we head into turn 1. Tons of room on the outside for this one, which means room, as you can see at the start here, for it too wide. Before we go into the S's, all flat, no brakes here, and you're just going to be holding on for dear life as the cars. It's going to be a nice train at the start of the race. There's plenty of cars that have a little bit more pace than you. You're going to be holding on for dear life if you're in a Porsche. Before we head into the bathtub, the inner loop, terrifying as you can see for that AI Porsche, just holding on for dear life, exactly as we said before. The long sweeping outer loop. It takes forever to get around that corner before a little bit shorter of the chutes. Another sweeping turn, lots of round edges here before we head into the toe on what I guess you could theoretically call the back straight. I guess they call the back straight turn 4, which is kind of funny. But right after turn 4, right after the S, about 10 seconds into the lap. Regardless, I digress. We're going into the heel. This is probably the slowest section of the track. We've got the heel before very quickly going into turn 9. Here, you do not want to get on the throttle too early, or you are going to go right into that wall on the outside. We're coming down into turn 10, the final couple turns of the lap. This is another one you definitely want to get right because you need to get over very quickly in order to open up the turn 11 onto, I guess, again, the front straight. Not a lot of straight lines here on this track, but a lot of speed. And that is a lap of Watkins Glen.
Thank you very much for that, Reagan. Great walk and overview. We are appreciative of that. Let me go ahead and change the information on the timing tower. We can go ahead and put, let's do the, what am I looking for? Position delta and race gaps. on the board here. They will update once the race actually starts. Only 2 AM drivers here. Simona Castillo, they are starting side by side this afternoon or evening or morning, depending on where you are in the world. So that is going to be something to look out for. And then I'm actually going to put car number back so we can see our silver drivers as well. We have Macy taking P1 in class. Finley O'Reilly, new driver on the field, joining Marcel Weiser. Is P2, Gary Bosman right behind him in P3 for silvers, and then Tristan, who let us know he had a quali ban, was not able to set a lap, starts P4 for the silver class at the end of the field. Some folks he's going to have to pass, but it's Paul Probs, a pro driver, also had a quali ban. He should have a good amount of pace to get through some of these drivers, as well as the 2 AM drivers, Castillo. Should be easy pickings for Tristan Stork, who's displayed a great amount of pace previously.
Yeah, you're definitely correct. I mean, they say rain is a great equalizer of cars, and it really shows more than anything the skill of the drivers. So our drivers at the back have lots of skill, and as Jorge is pulled off to the side. Not sure why he's done that, but there is Jorge.
Disconnect.
I think Jorge's gone. That is P4, who was just disappeared, no longer on track. We will have to hope. It seems like he's back now.
Yeah.
Yep, he's back. Just a bit of a oddity there as he passes Tyler. I want to make a little note here as well, because this is beautiful. I love this livery. This is fun. This makes me want to eat some sorbet. Great job, Tyler.
Did Jorge slow down again?
Did Jorge? Oh, no!
What is going on?
Yeah, Jorge's having some real issues there. I mean, lots of time you can see he's going again. So I wonder if he's having pedal issues or wheel issues, something that makes him want to stay out of the way if he doesn't get it fixed.
Or is this some, like, super bizarre tire warm-up strategy where he's just
There's no way. There's no way he's doing some sort of tire.
Because he's stopping again!
Stopping again? What are you doing?
I am so confused.
Yeah, this is very, curious. We'll call it curious. I have a feeling you might be right. Maybe yeah, there he goes. He's going again. Jorge, you sneaky bugger.
I mean, besides a hardware issue, that would be, like, the only theory I could have. But I feel like if it were a hardware issue, he wouldn't, stop, get going again, stop. Like, he would stop fully, figure out the issue and solve it, and then get going.
I think you're right. I think that is Jorge just trying to warm up the tires, and you can see at this point it looks like he has decided to settle in.
Yeah.
In P4, so yeah, that's weird. We'll see if that makes a difference for Jorge. We'll have to watch him off the line. Be very funny if he got a terrible start. Not that I'm hoping for that, but after all of that showmanship, we gotta hope for something to come out of Jorge in P4. So we just have to see what he's able to show.
Yep, so we have the good old black and green Porsche of Rosen Pashoff on the right side of your screen there. I don't think we mentioned that Marcel Weiser was in a Ferrari, but that is indeed a Ferrari, the white, gold, and black machine there. Another Ferrari, car 77 of Kurt Peters, starting just behind. So the Italian cars seem to do well. And then, yeah, it's 2 Ferraris, 2 Porsches in our top 4.
Yeah. Yeah, very interesting. There's the line, and our drivers are off, and we can see Jorge has already jumped into P3 with a really good start, so maybe as they are going side by side, Weiser and Esteban, and a little bit of a tap there, which has pushed Weiser out, but Weiser is not any worse for wear and is up, maintaining P2. Esteban still in P3, as Kurt Peters in P4 is our big loser at the moment. We do have O'Reilly here, also up 3 spots, but Tyler Babin thinking about making a move through the bathtub. This is the scariest part of the race, and so far it's looking like everyone has made it through safely, so not a ton of movement with our drivers at the moment, other than Stork up 5 spots. We talked about him having a good start, and it is certainly a good start for him.
Absolutely. We might have to watch a replay on that start to see again what happened between Jorge and Marcel, but also to see Tristan and how he was able to make up 5 spots so quickly.
Yeah, that's a very impressive start there. Paul Krob's up 2 spots, but a far cry away from what Stork was able to do. So both of our pro drivers who had qualifying bans are starting to work their way up quickly, but Stork doing just a little bit better of a job. We do see our drivers are all pretty close together, but no one quite close enough to make a move. That being said, Tyler Babin is looking like he might want to make something happen here, very close together, as you can see. Here's a good example of just how bunched our grid is at the moment. Car after car streaming through.
Yeah, only 4 drivers so far have not had a position change on lap 1. P1 and 2, P5, Carl Nordell, and P9, Tyler, who we are watching right now. I'm sure Pashoff would have loved to see that action unfold in the rearview mirror, knowing that Marcel and Jorge were fighting and just losing time to him. About a second as they crossed the line, the gap between P1 and 2, Pashoff is just going to be hoping he can continue to streak away, use that advantage he demonstrated in quali to just build that gap and hopefully take a comfortable race win is what he will want, not necessarily what we as viewers want, but we will definitely be keeping an eye on the gaps between he and, again, Marcel Weiser, new driver here in Buzz at Watkins.
Yeah, it's as we see. Oh, we've got yellow on Kurt Peters. Let's do a once we see how Kurt finishes off here, let's jump over for a quick replay and see what the heck happened to Kurt Peters. Kurt here coming down the back straight. Looks like an issue in the bathtub. We can give a weather forecast shortly after we see exactly what happened to Kurt. As here he goes. The inside catches the grass and has to work very hard not to put it into the wall. There is Kurt Peters losing 1, 2, and I believe maybe a 3rd spot. No, he is able to keep that spot and is currently in P6. There we go. As we'll jump very quickly over to this quick fight, we've got Tyler Babin and Kieran Macy going very close together. Let me jump over. We've got a weather forecast of wet, wet, and wet. Nothing changing on the forecast. We've got 1 full line of rain for the next 30 minutes, and the track is, if you haven't guessed already, wet.
Wet indeed. As Pashoff, a 51.6 to start off lap 2. I assume he has a full tank, so the fact that he is only half a second down on his quali time is crazy. That is some good pace, but even crazier that Weiser is less than a second behind.
Yeah, it certainly is. We're also going to go to a replay here on Simon, because Simon has had a crash. This is currently not live. We are on a replay. Steven, thank you. It also looks like Tyler Babin's had an incident. So Laguerre just using a little bit too much of the tire through that last turn, and that has caused him to spin out. And we're going to jump very quickly back over to Carl Nordell, who's just kidding. His gap looks smaller than it was.
I thought you were going to Tyler. I was primed on the replay button.
Boom. Well, here you go. We're on time. Here is Tyler coming through the S's. Everything looking good, but we are going up to the bathtub, and we all know what happens there. I wonder if we missed. Nope.
We might have missed it since we were on the replay with Simone for so long.
Yeah, very well could be the case. As we've got Paul Krobs in a battle with Nikinen here, trying to go down the inside on probably the tightest, slowest turn on the track, and still side by side. And gets the move done as Nikinen has a little bit of a kiss on the wall on the outside, was not able to carry as much speed, or rather carried more speed than the outside would allow, and that is Paul Krobs up to P11.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if there was contact. There wasn't anything reported to ACC TV, but it looked like there may have been either the smallest amount of contact or Nikinen just bailed out and got spooked with Paul being on the inside there. I couldn't tell what led to him getting into the wall, but yeah, very nice move by Paul Krobs to get around, and now just behind Finley O'Reilly.
So we'll watch here. Kurt Peters is trying to get a move done. Oh no! That looked like it was going to happen. Let's get a helicam replay of this one. We'll watch Kurt Peters now coming through. Yeah, I'm going to try to set up a custom 20-second replay for the future, just so we can save a little bit of time. Because we do have some fighting along the grid that we'd like to see. But here we go into the bathtub, and I think it just looks like we got two going into one there. Kurt Peters and I'm not sure who the other driver was off the top of my head, going into each other. I think it was Macy who, am I right? Am I wrong?
Sorry, what was that?
Who was that he was trying to go around?
Magnus.
It was Magnus. It was Magnus, who is still in P5 and seems to be doing okay. Thank you. Yes, now I see the livery. That reminded me. And thank you.
Again, a reminder, it is not Haukabo. That was a previous Magnus that we had in our league.
Yes.
Haukabe. Different guy. As Marcel, a 50.89, faster than anything we saw in qualifying, but still sitting behind Rosen Passion.
Yeah, well, you can see just how close together the two drivers are here as we go through. We've got an incident, it seems, jumping over quickly, but no, it might just be a tap as these drivers are all neck and neck. We've got Paul Krobs, Stork, and Macy all together. So we've got, I mean, it's quite incredible how close all of our drivers seem to be at the moment. I mean, we've got tons of drivers showing less than half a second in that little red section. And I think the biggest gap, apart from our bottom two, we've got Kieran Macy, who seems to have just had a little bit of a slip-up. But lots of drivers all very close together. And we've got Richard Walter's mom in the chat. Well, here you go. Why don't we get Richard on screen for you? Here's Richard in P6, doing just fine at the moment, right where he started the race.
Yeah, it was a little topsy-turvy. He had been, I think, down a place, but got that back up once Kurt Peters and Magnus collided a little bit. So Richard back up to P6, only about a second behind Magnus now. Lost about a half a second on that one corner.
Yeah, and a big gap then behind to Macy. We also see as well, let's take stock of Stork. Some Stork stock here. He is up 8 spots. Paul Krobs right behind, up 6 spots. So our two pro drivers banned from qualifying due to past incidents, they are making their way right back up. And we can see here Stork wants to get a move done on Macy soon too. And it looks like maybe with the right run, he'll be able to get something done. We are going to jump, keep an eye on that delta, but jump back because even closer than last lap, we have Weiser only 0.2 seconds back of Pashov. And we all know how slow the Porsche can be in a straight line. It looks like here is Pashov going defensive as they're going through the bathtub. We can all be a little scared for this, but it looks like cooler heads prevail and Weiser decides not to go for a move there. Maybe the right choice. There are better places to be getting a move done. Here we can see, just a quick tap. Oh no! And this is Paul Krobs after a tap. Oh, a big shunt into the wall. Let's go to replay on that one and get the proper helicam view. Here is Paul Krobs in a battle with, I believe it was Stork and Macy. There is Stork directly in front of him. And let's see what happened there. That very well could be race over. So Paul going to the outside, trying to go around the outside into the bathtub, and it looks like, oh, I think he just caught the grass. No tap. That was just grass. As we can see there, that is a very, very
No,
damaged car.
he and Tristan like collided the sides of the cars together.
Did they?
Yeah.
Well, I must be blind, as we've got Simon here. We'll do a 20-second on Simon because we've got another incident. So cars all over the place seem to be happen into each other. Here is, yes, Simon and Castillo there.
The two AM
coming
drivers.
on.
That's a hotly contested championship between the two of them.
AM fight, yeah. I mean, I don't think we've had more than two drivers, two AM drivers in the same race yet. This might be the first time, so you see what happens. It's like when you put two what is it, beta fish together, immediately they'll fight to the death. This is what happens when you have two AM drivers together.
Yeah, maybe we can go back to what happened between Paul and Tristan and see. Is this them? Nope.
Well, it's car, what is that? That is car 66 or car 133.
66. I see. It gets cut off. It shows car number 13, so I was like, who is that? It should be.
Let's swap over, see if you got the right one.
And let's go chase cam. That'll definitely highlight the tab. So yeah, Paul's going to show up on the left side here.
You're right. No, there was that littlest tap there.
Yeah, ever so slight, but threw Paul completely off. Yeah,
that's unfortunate to see. Drivers just trying to be as tight as they can, especially going through the bathtub there. You don't want to be giving any more room than you have to, and that is an unfortunate part of racing there. So we leave it to the stewards. If one of them actually had some wrongdoing, to me that just looked like a little bit of a bonk gone wrong.
Yeah, I feel like it's hard to assign blame there. Yeah, definitely fortunate for Paul, but I don't think Tristan did anything wrong. He was just on his line. I think it's more a sign of between Kurt Peters trying to go around the outside of Magnus and Paul trying to go around the outside of Tristan. Just going around the outside at that corner. In the dry can maybe work. It's very tough. You would maybe need to be a little bit more alongside or ahead of them even, but in the wet, I think it's nigh on impossible to make a move around the outside work there.
Yeah, and you can see here another case where we've got three drivers so close together, and Tristan catching the oh no, there's Tristan with a little bit of a bonk just as the camera jumps away, able to keep himself going, but yeah, he caught the grass and has fallen down. He's now exactly side by side here going through the chute, and it looks like, oh, they're getting real close, but they are still side by side through the chute. Two McLarens just flying.
That was him behind as a McLaren as well.
Wow. Oh, and a little bit of a tap there. They are in the rain, and it seems like that tap threw Stork out of whack, which then pushed Finley out of whack. Yeah, just tiny taps, which have culminated in Finley O'Reilly potentially losing a spot now to Tyler Babin. And bad couple turns, a bad outcome for O'Reilly there. Definitely trying to fight back, and you can see fights back a little bit too hard, gets quite intimate with the wall there, as so many drivers do. I personally, that might be my least favorite turn in the entire game, because I can never quite figure out when to get on the throttle. I always go too early, and it seems like O'Reilly did there too.
Yeah, I think it was coming out of the toe. So, like, looking at the track map, the rightmost part, it's almost a 180-degree turn. I think Stork definitely got his elbows out and might have pushed Finley off the track a little bit, which started the downfall. As, yeah, Nordell trying to make it work around the outside into the inner loop. It does not work. We need to give a PSA to our drivers today. Do not try to make it work there. You need to find a different place on track to pass. Because, yeah, now Carl has gotten a little into Jorge. No drivers died in that, which is very fortunate. But, yeah, now about a half second behind Jorge there. So you want to get past, but you need patience, as we are maybe seeing with Weiser being patient behind Pashoff, maybe just waiting for a mistake, has not been able to get around despite having the fastest lap of the race thus far.
Yeah, that fight on the top, I think, might be going on for a while now, as we've got, that looked like a car just kind of disappeared from track. I don't know what happened there. Was it O'Reilly? I think O'Reilly may have just sort of had maybe an internet incident there, as we have Kurt Peters here. We're just going to do a quick 10-second to see how he got past, and it looks like he's down the inside. And there we go. Nice little move on Stork, who got a little bit wide there. Kurt Peters back up to 7th place, still down 4 spots from the beginning, but certainly making his way back. Seems like grabbing some rain on the outside. It was on Macy, not Stork. I apologize. And usually, as you can probably tell at this point, I just sort of pick a name at random if I'm not 100% sure who's actually out on track. So at some point, if you hear me say that Dudek made a move, then don't be too surprised, no matter how incorrect that might be.
Jorge showing sign of contact. Carl was not. I think Carl may have been almost bump drafting Jorge a little bit on the lead up to the inner loop. They were looking like they were locked rear end to front end. I think it's great to see that we have basically battles for all the podium places going on right now, but Marcel Weiser has fallen back, may have made a mistake. Following Rosen Pashoff, they were about like 0.2, 0.3 seconds apart. It's now nearly 2 seconds, the gap. So not sure what happened to Weiser there, but not what he would have wanted.
No, maybe just a bit of a mistake that he now needs to claw back the time. We'll only have to see as the race continues. We'll jump over. Unfortunately, Richard here having a bit of a quiet race at the moment. He's got nice gaps ahead and behind. You can see pretty empty track there, so we'll be keeping an eye on Richard. But for now, he is simply making his way through the race. Takes a nice line there to finish off the lap, nice and wide onto the curbs, and we'll keep an eye on Richard for future developments.
Keeping an eye on Richard as we are right now watching Carl still 2-3 tenths behind Jorge Esteban, as Nicolas Castillo was showing. Yellow gets going again, has now fallen behind Simon. So we saw contact between those two drivers a few laps ago. Castillo bumped Simon off track, got around, but is now 8 seconds behind. So Castillo may have waited for Simon to catch back up, or had some mistakes of his own. But Simon now P1 in the AM class, Castillo P2. As Paul Krabs, I don't know when he came back out of the pits, but he is back out on track. He has not called it quits, which is great to see. Love to see that fighting spirit.
Well, I mean, a big crash, and it was a only 32.5 second stationary time, which is kind of incredible, because that was a huge shunt into the wall, so maybe we missed something there. Or maybe ACC TV is just simply not giving us all the information. But regardless, he is on track and pushing on, and we'll see how he does with some clean air.
Indeed. I wonder if he started with nearly a full tank and was planning on pitting with only a few minutes left and having to do just a small kind of oh, why can't I think of the term? Pump and run isn't right.
Splash and dash.
Splash and dash. I don't know why I can't think of that. Splash and dash only taking a couple seconds of fuel. So if he only needed to take a few meters or something like that, he could have used some of the rest of that time fixing damage. About taking the equivalent of what it would have, how long a pit stop if he had taken tires as well would have lasted. May have been what he was doing. I don't know if any of that made sense. But...
No, that made sense. That makes sense. The fixing of the damage offset the saving of time not taking tires.
Yes, and is equivalent as what he would have done if he did fuel and tires.
Exactly.
Very succinctly wrapped up. I appreciate that. Oh, it's Magnus off track slightly in the rear view there, just behind Carl and Jorge.
Well, you can see we've got this fight between Carl and Jorge up there for the last podium position, and Magnus, it seems, may just have been slowly lurking, waiting, biding his time to get into the fight, only 1.7 seconds back at the moment. And then we do see there Richard Walters in the same boat, just sort of waiting to see what happens. Jorge, to this point, has been putting up a very nice defense, and Carl has not been able to find a way around after he has decided, for very good reason, not to be trying to make a move through the bathtub anymore.
Yeah, I think he's just going to have to wait for a mistake. There's not, in the rain at least, a whole bunch of places that you can overtake. And we know that Porsche may not have as much top speed, but is great on acceleration. And in the wet, top speed is a little bit more limited with just the conditions, with how draggy the tires are, having treads on them compared to the slick, dry tires. So yeah, Carl, even though his Mercedes might have better top speed in the dry, isn't necessarily going to be helping him out, as Richard Walters showing yellow. Still moving on track, so not sure what happened there. May have just been going wide after T1. No, there is damage.
There's damage. Okay, hold up. Let's do a replay here. I've gone to replay on Richard. So you can see with him going offline, he's seemingly having an issue with overheating the tires, trying to find some way to cool down those tires offline. And through turn one, wow, yeah, that is a big shunt. Gets on the curbs. And there you go. That is a lot of damage there. So, Mama Richard, please look away. There's Richard Walters with quite a bit of damage and loses about 5 seconds in the process as well.
Losing a good amount. That is unfortunate, but stays P6.
Well, as in terms of how shunts can go, that went about as well as they can. We'll see how the pace is. Still only 8.7 seconds back. So if that delta stays constant, then maybe he got away with purely aesthetic damage, and the car is still going strong. So just more development to the story there, as he does now have Kurt Peters only 0.7 seconds back. And looking to make up a spot.
Yeah, so after the, we assume, mistake that Weiser made, falling nearly 2 seconds behind, has clawed that gap back down to less than a second. So I think Weiser definitely has the pace, but Pashoff has the Porsche to stay ahead. Same thing that we're seeing with Jorge, staying ahead of Carl Nordell there. So at Porsche, yeah, the acceleration off the corner seems to be helping him. Hopefully Pashoff will be able to fight off this charge. In a little bit, we'll be approaching the halfway point of this race. We might start seeing pit stops for our drivers that like to kind of split their strategy down the middle. So we will keep an eye on what that looks like.
We certainly will. We have a little change of position there. It looks like Tyler Babin getting around Nikkonen after just a small mistake. We see here with, 28 seconds of damage and the car handled fine. Well, I will say I don't think Richard is having the same luck because he got passed relatively easily by Kurt Peters and is already 1.7 seconds back. So I have a feeling Richard is struggling in a way that you did not at Nürburgring, which Richard, I'm sure, may be one of those drivers that, Steven, you were mentioning as ready to do a pit stop. We are about 25 minutes in, 55 minutes left to go in the race. Lots of time to fix that damage and get back on track if it is indeed slowing him down. So we'll just have to see what choice that Richard makes as he comes around towards the pits in just a couple more turns.
I'm sure Carl isn't happy being behind Jorge because even though he is so close, not able to make a move, Jorge has been losing time on Marcel Weiser the last few laps. That gap now up to 10.5 seconds between P2 and 3. I'm sure Carl would be thinking, hey, Jorge, I am faster than you. If you let me go, I can catch up to Marcel and patch off and maybe be fighting for the win. But of course, Jorge does not want to do that. He wants to hold his P3 as we see Carl flashing those lights at the Porsche. Definitely getting frustrated, but not close enough to make a move. And I think he's learned his lesson. He does not want to be making a move at that set of corners.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I have a feeling Jorge is struggling for tires again as we see him being another driver going offline, trying to get some moisture under the tires, cool them down on that front straight before turn 1. And I wonder if some of that pace difference is just Jorge struggling a bit with heat in the tires, getting them overheated, but not struggling so much that Carl is able to take advantage. I say that, but once again, Carl is only a little bit behind. Let's go front splitter. He is right on the back, and may have been doing the over-under. This is a tough place to be going around the outside, and he is trying it, but once again, solid, strong kart placement from Jorge Esteban to keep himself up in P3, and Carl is really starting to hurt for an overtake. It seems quite clear that the pace is there's a pace difference here that that Carl is not able to take advantage of. We'll see. It's only 0.3 seconds. Once again, we see there Jorge going offline before coming back to take turn 1. And once again, it seems like a decent exit for both drivers, which is going to mean yet another lap of uncertainty going into the bathtub. We also see Richard Walters into the pits.
So a little bit early, but we'll probably be fixing some of that damage, trying to gain back some of that pace he lost after losing the car in T1. When we're on this camera, the rain looks like it's coming down quite a bit, but when we are on board with the driver, their windshields don't seem to be getting that wet. When we were looking at Carl, it seemed like it was only getting wet primarily from the spray of his Porsche there. Oh, as Carl loses the rear end a little bit there.
Just a little bit there, yeah.
So I'm wondering if the rain has been decreasing and if those, as you mentioned, the temperatures and the pressures in those wet tires are increasing conversely. I think that might be a potential issue the drivers are facing.
Well, if they are facing that issue, they will get some reprieve in about 30 minutes. We've got rain showing as increasing. It's been light rain this whole time too, so we're not getting soaked tracks the way that some drivers might have been expecting with the way they set their tire pressures. Yeah, this may just be a case, as you mentioned, of the rain lightening up after already being relatively light and just hammering away at these already thin, soft tires. Yeah, Jorge, just even Carl at this moment is going behind, maybe to get a tow, maybe to just to sort of entice Jorge exactly into a defense. And they have a bit of a tap there as Carl wanted to go around the outside, but maybe it's tough to say which driver was the one who maybe shouldn't have been where they were. It does seem like just a racing incident tap there. There is plenty of room for both drivers to be getting through. So, and both drivers seem to not be any worse for wear at the moment, which is good to see. So we've just got a little bit of aggression coming out with Carl. Some, we'll call it strategic aggression that may have boiled over into a little tap.
And Gary Bosman, our technically third driver in the pits, because Paul Krabs down in P16 has been in the pits already, fixing some damage, we assume, earlier on after getting together with Tristan Stork into the inner loop. Arnold Dell, yeah, I mean, he is just absolutely trying to find a way past that Porsche. I have a very random question to ask you. So looking at these two cars, the Porsche has one long windshield wiper to cover the entire windshield. The Mercedes has two, kind of like more traditional that you would find in a road car. Reagan, which would you prefer to be driving with right now?
Well, you know, it's funny. In this game, I think I've only really primarily driven cars like the Porsche that have that one middle wiper. I find it mildly annoying. In the rain, it's not annoying. In the rain, I actually like it. So in this case, I'd probably prefer the Porsche just because it's what I know. But in the dry, when it's not running, you just have this giant wiper right in the middle of your screen, right in the middle of your dashboard. That's I mean, it doesn't really make a huge difference to visibility, but it's there. So I guess it's funny. In the wet, I would prefer the one middle wiper, but in the dry, I would prefer the two wipers off to the side.
I think Nikon here is showing our drivers how it can be done, how you can make an overtake. Tried to go up the inside, not able to make it work. Tyler was able to hang it around the outside there. Jorge Esteban. Passed.
He's gotten past. Okay, let's do an instant replay here. Here we've got Carl going down into the bathtub, and it looks like this time he decides not to back off. Yeah, he does not back off. Both drivers give space, and that is Carl getting through, clean through the bathtub. It can be done.
That was crazy. I was expecting calamity. I was expecting Jorge to go into the wall and lose time that way as Tristan Stork takes P7 away from Kieran Macy there.
Yeah, that... I mean, I think really what... I mean, a big part of it is both drivers have to be very respectful of the space of the other driver. So, I mean, you know, you usually don't... feel good about getting overtaken, but I think great job from both drivers to be able to allow that overtake to be done safely. You know, it's hard. It's not like Esteban had much of a choice with Carl Nordell not backing down. So really good stuff we see time and time again. Drivers not being willing to cede that space, and a tap of cars happening due to that. So yeah, great job from both drivers, and a great move from Carl.
Great move from Carl indeed. That gap now a second, and Magnus was also able to benefit from that. Now moving up a little over a second behind Jorge. He could be looking at taking P4. Again, a second behind, up 2 spots already, but could be looking for one of these. Tiffany O'Reilly going to P10 as Nikon has entered the pits. I'm sure Tyler is going to be relieved by that. They were fighting Tyler and Nikon the lap prior. That really pushes Tyler into a little bit of free air. 6 seconds behind Macy, 6 seconds ahead of Finley. And Carl is going to now try to set his sights on catching up to the elite group. Pashoff ahead of Weiser. The gap's still around a second. We've seen, I feel like, a similar battle in the wet. There was, I think the first season we streamed at Barcelona, I believe, was wet, and Carl was leading for the majority of the race. Oystein Brenham was sat behind him for the majority of it, like 50, 55 minutes in. Oystein finally made a move I think Weiser might be doing a similar strategy, just sitting, waiting, studying Pashoff, understanding where he goes, what his breaking points are, what his weaknesses are, and he's going to capitalize later on in this race and hope that Pashoff does not have the same amount of time, that same luxury to study and find out where he could make a move on Weiser.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely nerve-wracking having a driver that close behind you for this long. It's I mean, it's always tough to be driving as consistently as Pashoff has been this race, not allowing any mistakes to be capitalized on. Lots of race left though, 44 minutes, and it is definitely a pressure cooker there for Pashoff. I mean, Weiser, as much as they are in second place, and of course at the end of the day, whoever finishes in first is the one who wins the race, to paint quite an obvious picture for you all. So if Pashoff holds on, he is going to be the victor, but Weiser has so many options available to him. Try to go for a move, try for an undercut, wait for an overcut, whatever he is wanting to do, Pashoff can only wait and see.
Yeah, I think we had a little bit of Will Buxton showing up in our commentary booth today there.
You cannot win the race if a driver finishes in front of you. That's words to live by. Unless they have penalties. More words to live
Unless
by.
they have penalties. Reminds me of another quote from the great Ricky Bobby. If you ain't first, you're last. I hope you've seen Talladega Nights before.
Oh, I've seen Talladega Nights.
Oh, okay.
Great.
I mean, you Canadians, I don't know how much NASCAR media you consume.
It's one of those movies I watched like 10, 15 years ago, and I'm scared to go back. Because there's every so often, those mid-2000s movies, I go back and I'm like, oh, I hate this.
Oh, this was problematic.
Exactly, yeah. It's like, oh man, I guess I laughed at that in grade 7. So the memory I have of Talladega Nights is so good. I might just leave it as a memory.
I might need to rewatch it again. I feel like I watched it like a year ago, and it was still the same funny level and humor. I don't think they're... I mean, of course, the fact that they lean into some jokes about Jean Girard, the gay French driver, but they aren't offensive, I don't think.
And I mean, who wouldn't want to be kissed by Sacha Baron Cohen? Of course.
Well, exactly. And, like, I remember there's one joke that they make where it's, like, qualifying, right? And so he, goes and sets a lap. And they're like, and there's Jean Girard sitting on the pole, which is in no way a statement of the driver's sexual orientation. And, like, I think that's funny.
That's pretty funny.
That's a lighthearted joke for the most part. So, yeah, on... trying to think through the movie, I don't think there's anything that's like blatantly offensive in there.
That is because I remember it being quite funny.
Yeah, we may have to host like a Bez watch party of Talladega Nights.
I think we have to.
Why don't I think I have it downloaded? Let's just stop broadcasting this race. We'll broadcast Talladega Nights on Twitch. I'm sure we wouldn't get a copyright notice or anything from that.
Well, we can do a side by side. We can just put the movie where we've got the logo in the corner.
Yeah, if you because I see that on like YouTube and stuff, people post clips of movies, but if you flip the image and you shrink it in size and put a background around it, it confuses the algorithm enough that it doesn't know that it's a movie.
We just have to put Subway Surfers on underneath it. That's what they do.
That is indeed what they do on the TikTok.
The TikToks.
No, I think Nikinen, we mentioned that he pit a while ago and relinquished Tyler some free air to abruptly change it back to the race, but he has been sitting for a while, I feel, or had to come back. He's pit twice now. He pit before, but his pit counter says he pit again. So did he have to serve a... Yeah, he
just cleared a stop and go. You're right.
Yep. So he sped into the pit lane, or may have been speeding as he left his box or something like that, but that is heartbreaking for Nikinen.
Well, not just as Laguerre goes into the pits, not just a stop go. That was a stop go 30.
Wow.
So a long time. Here we see Weiser has made his choice into the pits there, and now we'll just have to see what comes of that decision.
And he was squirrely on like crossing the line. I wonder if he was maybe locking the brakes up or something like that, trying to get that car slowed down. We'll have to keep an eye on if he had a penalty for speeding as he entered.
Yeah, we certainly will. And I think this just, with him being so squirrely going into the pits, we were wondering whether it was a mistake or simply a loss of grip that caused the gap between him and Pashov to increase. And I think this can all but confirm that it was simply a loss of grip that Weiser was struggling with, that has pushed him to pit with 40 minutes left.
Pitting with 40 minutes left, and I want to try and take a look at ACC TV. Weiser has been sitting, or his total time is reading 65 seconds so far. Other drivers that were stationary for 30 seconds, and we assume took tires, their total time was around... he took 40 seconds stationary, I believe. He had to reverse, so he missed his pit box, which I think is why his pit stop is... That was what I was going to get to. He was taking quite a while in the pit lane, so I think once Pashov makes his pit stop, as long as Pashov can keep it clean, I think we'll have a slightly larger gap to Weiser.
Certainly, especially if Pashov decides that his tires are able to keep going. And no penalty as well. I'll just note for Weiser, I'm keeping an eye out, so he has, at least to this point, not gotten any penalties. He was able to get into the pits safely. So it'll just be a matter of pace that determines, well, pace and a lack of reversing that may determine who comes out in front with 36 minutes left.
Yeah, and I thought Carl was going to be, once he got past Jorge, closing up on the leaders, but if anything, that gap has only been increasing the last few laps. I think it was like 12, 13 seconds when Carl made the pass, now close to 17. So even though he got past Jorge, might have been getting held up, he is still losing time compared to our P1 driver.
Well, Pashov, his last lap was a 51.7, and you can see at the bottom there a 52.4 for Nordell most recently. So Nordell himself may be struggling with tires at this moment as Pashov continues to increase that gap. Jorge, a 52.6, so very close behind. So it may just be that gap between Jorge and Carl was, in terms of pace, was not quite as large as originally expected and as large as we thought based on what we were seeing. It may just be that these two drivers are neck and neck on pace. As you can see, Jorge is not going away right now. Also going to note as well, Weiser is definitely putting in an effort if he wants to make it back into a chance at first place. Fastest lap of the race, a 51.082 currently for him, and it seems like he might just be flying as he's coming through the bathtub. So we will have to keep an eye on what kind of lap times Weiser is doing, but I have a feeling he, with some open air, may just be pushing like hell at the moment, because that fastest lap, 51.0, is 4 tenths faster than the next fastest lap from Richard Walters.
Yeah, I think that 51.0 was set, I think a while ago. I think it was early in the race while he was behind Pashov. But yeah, we will definitely be able to use that as a benchmark because he has already set 1 lap after coming out of the pit. So we'll be able to keep an eye on his lap time this lap and see how close he is to that 51 mark that he set previously.
So now here is Macy going for a move. Although I believe that is a lap down car of Castillo, so I take that back. That was simply a overtake of an allowed overtake or something. Who knows what words I'm trying to come up with today. But regardless, there is Macy in P6, a very, very nice, quiet race for him. And P5 at the moment for Stork, 11 places up. He has yet to pit. But regardless, that is a very big, nice gain for him. We'll also note that Paul Krobs, for all of his problems at the start of the race, he is currently in P13, so he has been able to make up some spots, has been chugging in some half-decent lap times here, and might be able to squeak himself into the top 10 again if things go right.
And looking at ACC TV, Marcel set a 50.92 that last go around. That was an improvement on his previous best.
And what is that? Almost 2 seconds a lap faster than Pashov at the moment, who's decided to stay the course and go long. Now we have to, or we can potentially infer that Pashov is not going to be changing tires if he's willing to allow a 2-second gap on pace to continue, because we know that he can do faster than that if or on fresh tires. So Pashov may be doing that calculation in his head that 2 seconds a lap for the next 32 minutes is not going to make up a around 25-second gain in the pits potentially.
But I wonder, does he even know that Weiser is able to be 2 seconds a lap faster?
I mean, it's very hard to have that information. It all depends on what third-party dashboards he may be working with. Certainly might have that information, but at the same time, may just be working off the understanding that that he's got to push like hell and stick with his game plan.
Yeah, fully agree. Yeah, I want to take a look back at pit time so far. I haven't seen a pit stop under 30 seconds. Leroy Simon was 25 seconds, which might have been fuel only, but I would have been surprised if he didn't. That may be a timing issue. Yeah, I feel like every driver so far has taken tires. I feel like this course and maybe the lightness of the rain that we've been getting so far might be just wearing those wet tires out. And if Weiser can take tires and come out 2 seconds a lap faster, I think it's definitely worth it to take tires if you're pitting around now. But yeah, it's going to be close. If Weiser's able to close 2 seconds a lap, Pashov pits way later in the race, that only needs fuel.
Well, what is interesting is the track is now, or the rain, I should say, is starting to increase slightly. The track temperature is also down to 25 degrees. It started the race at 26. And in the next 30 minutes, the forecast is showing a stark increase in rain at some point in the next 30 minutes. So obviously we only have 30 minutes left in the race. But that graphic can show anything from the next 11 minutes to 30 minutes, as it only jumps between 0, 10, and 30 on the increments. So we could theoretically be seeing heavy rain at any point in the next, I want to say 20 minutes or so, just based on the last time that I checked the weather report, which does mean that there may be a case or an opportunity for some of these drivers on warm tires. They may be getting some reprieve even as we speak.
Hopefully, that is indeed the case. We have Vigard in the chat. Race is going well. It's definitely been action-packed. We're going to have to wait for some strategy to play out as Paul Krobs looking to get around Gary Bosman here. Paul again had a collision earlier with Magnus, spun just behind there into some of the orange barriers, pit very, very early. He is now finding his way past the drivers as they are making their pit stops. So Paul absolutely trying to just hammer in the laps, be fast, and make up as many places as he can, try and score some overall points today. But yeah, we'll have to see how some strategy plays out. We have a couple of new guys who are very, very fast, which is exciting. How is your 12 hours of Sebring going? Has it been worth missing today's race for Vigard? So we'll have to wait a few seconds for a response there. As we wait for Vigard, any things of note to you, Reagan, at the moment?
At the moment, well, Weiser continuing to churn in some very fast laps, 1.7 seconds faster than Pashov last lap. And he's just about to come around for a new lap, so we'll get some fresh lap times from him, see what he's doing right now. And this lap is coming in at a 50.907, fastest lap of the race. Weiser continues to just churn out faster and faster lap times. Now that being said, he does have Tyler Babin and the rest of the non-pitters, we'll call them. The top 7 drivers have not pit, so it is a clean break between the bottom 9 drivers and the top 7, as we've got a disastrous 12 hours of Sebring for Vigard. That is unfortunate to hear. We had similar, not 18 minutes of repairs, but 2 separate 6-minute repairs on us. We see, Tyler getting acquainted with the grass, but even with that, doesn't want to let Weiser go without a fight.
Yeah, Tyler yet to pit. Marcel has already come in. I'm sure Tyler would be aware of that, knowing that he would have seen that Marcel qualified P2. And yeah, going around the outside there, that is the benefit of the new tires in effect. I think that's the clearest demonstration we can give you of the benefit of taking some new wet tires going on. So Marcel, a nice move around Tyler. Again, Tyler is yet to pit, so he was going to lose that spot anyway. And Pashov showing a white flag, that usually indicates that you're slowing down a little bit. He may have had a little bit of a checkup moment going through the bus stop.
Yeah, nothing actually slowing him down, it seems, but a scary moment there. So I'm sure Pashov is well aware that any mistake would mean death, as all of our drivers are well aware. As we have Finley here, we'll do a quick 10 seconds, see what happened to him as he gets in the grass on the outside or on the exit of the bathtub of the inner loop, and then has to make his way back on the outer loop. As we have here, it looks like, where is that? Simon. Paul Krob's able to get past Simon Simon, our AM leader at the moment. And Krobs again inching his way back into a points finish, which is quite impressive for both him and Richard. Richard's crash much less severe, but was there nonetheless. Now, that being said, we still have all of our front drivers needing to pit. We've got lots of drivers who are going to be wanting to get points this race. I don't, again, think I need to really be saying that, but I said it anyways because sometimes you just have to say words when you're commentating. That is just really what it all comes down to.
Absolutely. Reagan, I just realized incidents have not been reported by ACC TV. I did not have the spreadsheet open, and I found that when the spreadsheet is not open, it does not track those incidents. Would you mind taking screenshots of the incidents we've had so far?
I would not mind that at all. I think that will mean we've lost the first 10 minutes of incidents, as I think it starts cutting off as you go. So let me just save as.
No, I see, at least for me, I see events going back to the first 15 seconds of the race.
Interesting. Let me.
You might have to scroll down.
No, I scrolled down and I've got 48. 10 minutes in, I've got incident with car number 48.
Interesting. Then
Yeah,
I
it's that
have
top
more.
one. It's sort of middle of your screen. So I've lost everything from 1057 down.
Interesting.
If you want to take those, yeah, that is quite strange. I'm not sure why. I just had some more get lobbed off. What the heck is going on here? We'll save them all, and it'll be a mess. And the stewards can figure it out. Haha.
Oh no, I did have the
Kurt Peters getting close, it seemed, to Kieran Macy. Both drivers have pit, but Macy has not changed the tires. Only a 10-second stop there for Macy.
Interesting.
And Steven, if you could let me see the screen, that would be absolutely lovely. Thank you.
Oh, why did the
Whoa.
why did that come up?
That's not the screen I was hoping to see.
Strange. Apologies, I don't know how long that's been up. I've been looking
That was
at
new.
incidents. Oh, it wasn't.
That was new. Yeah. Go Kurt. Oh, and that is the toe. Kurt Peters able to go down the inside, and it looks like he is now clear. A nice move on Kieran Macy. Again, Kurt Peters has taken tires. Macy has not. There is a 30-second gap between Macy and Richard Walters with only 23 minutes left. Kieran Macy is on an outlap, so it's tough to say, I'm talking, and then we have Tyler here who looks like he's going into the pits. He's decided to... Nope. No, he's just going a bit slow. I take that back. But regardless, it may be Macy that Paul Krobs is going to be trying to push to get out of the way. But that being said, Paul Krobs is 66 seconds back, so there may only be hope in the case of a mistake. We'll just have to keep an eye on that. Regardless, Macy does seem to be struggling with those tires, and we'll see if Richard is able to mount any sort of push in the last couple laps.
Indeed. Paul Krobs, I believe we saw him go up to 12th before. He is now up to 11th, so just outside the cusp. Needs to be P10 to score an overall point, as Tyler got squirrely going through the bathtub, bus stop, inner loop, whatever you want to call it here. As, man, Kurt Peters flying in that Ferrari. He was getting around Gary Bosman a car lap down, but still, he made it look easy. As Finley loses that McLaren again.
Another one. Why don't we take a look at this one? I apologize, Finley, for showing off what's going on with you. And there it is. Yep, on my least favorite turn, there is Finley getting on the throttle too early, carrying too much speed. Regardless of what happens, he gets on the curb, spins, and shunt.
I also do not like that corner. It feels like it never ends.
It really doesn't. You're having to just slow down to a crawl, and as soon as you want to hit the throttle, you realize that there's a wall coming up. As well, we do have Kurt Peters here with a 50.725. So Kurt is, when you say flying, he is flying faster than anyone else on track at the moment. A beautiful lap there to take fastest lap from Weiser. Just have to see if Kurt is able to make more moves. He's going to be overtaking Tyler when Tyler goes into the pits, as he just did. No, that's Stork going into the pits, actually. So Kurt Peters is going to be getting one more spot, at least, when Tyler goes into the pits, and maybe more when Magnus decides to as well. It'll be tight depending on whether Magnus takes tires or not. But Kurt Peters definitely, after being down 4 spots very early, might be making his way back. We've got Paul Krobs here. Do a quick 10-second to see what happened to him, and there it is. Just carries a little bit too much speed through the bathtub and does end up hitting the back end. Not a big hit, but enough that I'm sure he is not happy about it.
What happened to Castillo? He's going slow.
Castillo.
Oh, what?
Oh, Well, let's do a replay here. We've got another replay now. We're watching Castillo, second place in the AM class, and goes very wide on the toe and into the grass, and in the grass or on the grass in the wet. There is only one outcome, and it is a spin.
He is going again. Waited for a lot of cars to pass. Very respectful there. But yeah, a bad to worse race, I think, for Castillo there is Finley into the pits. Tyler Babbitt losing that rear.
Tyler.
And
Why is he
Weiser,
taking the fastest lap again?
he did not like Kurt Peters having that purple next to him. He was said,
No.
nope, that fastest lap is mine. I think those wet tires on Tyler's car really started to struggle.
Yeah, he is absolutely just rolling back to the pits, going off left and right. I'm sure we're going to be seeing him diving into the pit stop here. And there he goes.
So that makes me wonder, Tyler Babin in a Porsche struggling on tires, Rosen Pashoff P1 in a Porsche doesn't seem to be struggling on tires at the moment, but if he keeps going and does not take tires, how bad is he going to be struggling before we get into this race?
Yeah, we're only 18 minutes left, so we will be finding that out very shortly. And let's Stephen, with that, I'm going to run to the washroom, so we will be holding down the fort for the next couple minutes.
Already, fort being held down currently by me as we are watching Rosen Pashoff, our P1 driver. 18.5-second gap to Carl Nordell. Again, I think the last time we checked in on that gap, it was around 16 or 17 seconds. So that gap continuing to improve. Carl in that Mercedes-AMG not able to find any time. Kurt Peters, 30 seconds behind Marcel Weiser in P5, but getting around, I believe that is Simon there. So Lab's car, not for position. I believe Peters has the orange McLaren of Nikkonen, I want to say that is. Not entirely sure, as Marcel Weiser, another purple lap, only improving by less than a quarter-tenth of a second, of 23 thousandths improvement. His previous best, a 150.700. But still setting purple laps, trying to capitalize on Pashoff staying out, potentially Pashoff losing time, racing on older tires. So again, it will be very interesting to see, sorry as I own there, it will be very interesting to see how all of these strategy calls play out, as Castillo losing it a little bit there. We saw O'Reilly loop it a couple laps ago at that same corner, getting under the curve. Castillo able to keep a handle on it. But yeah, definitely not the race Nicholas Castillo would have wanted to be having. His AM classmate, I don't know the best term for that, currently 2 positions ahead. Don't think Castillo will be able to make it because Castillo is 1 lap fully behind Gary Bosman, sitting in P14, in between he and Simon there. So probably going to be another class 1 for Simon, but that'll be well earned. Instead of position deltas, I'm going to throw the car numbers on there again so we can see the classes. So it's Kieran Macy in P7 leading the silvers at the moment. Tristan Stork just behind. Shows silver, but I want to say, let me pull up the Discord. I want to say Tristan was moved to Pro. Yes, I see confirmation from Bryce Prevost, one of our admins. Stork was moved to Pro. So that is an inaccurate reflection of Tristan Stork's class. He is not silver, he is Pro. So he is fighting for some overall points at the moment. We'll get 4 points, I believe it is, for a P8 finish. As Castillo moves out of the way of Richard Walters, late on the brakes, almost gets into the back of Richard there. That was a very, I think, good avoidance of taking out a driver that is currently 9. Richard definitely fixed that damage that he had previously. Again, he spun exiting T1. His hood was completely mucked up. That is now fixed, so he would have spent some extra time getting that fixed as we finally have our leader, Rosen Pashoff, taking to the pits. Let's go on with Marcel Weiser instead and see. So he is currently coming through, I believe this is the boot.
I believe you are correct. That is the boot.
And let's do some interesting stuff here. So this is car number 4. That's where Weiser is right now on track, doing a little bit of a drawing on the screen. Keep an eye on number 4 on your screen coming around the final corner. So Pashoff has a huge gap, but I do not think he took tires. I believe that was only. Yep.
Nope, he was only stationary for 10 seconds, and we can see here now Weiser up to P3, and we've got a gap of about, once he comes around, it'll be about 13 seconds with 13 minutes left.
So that puts it at about 7 or 8 laps remaining, potentially, at 2 seconds a lap advantage that Weiser had. That could be 15, 16 seconds that he's able to gain on Pashoff. Of course, Weiser's tires are going to be fading as well. They are not as prime as they once were when they were fresh out of the pits. So I think this is going to be close by the end of the race. I think Weiser still has the pace, but less than 13 minutes. The time is ticking down. There are not that many laps remaining to close that gap. We'll still have to see what Jorge Esteban does. If he also only takes only takes fuel, that could potentially put him up around Weiser.
Well, we already see the gap down to 11.5 seconds. It was started around 12.5, and they are less than a lap in. So I have a feeling that you are correct. It might be on the last couple laps that we see Weiser catching up to Pashoff if lap times stay as they were. It all depends, of course, on mistakes. It all depends on whether Weiser's tires hold up. Weiser doing a 51.29 on his last lap. And of course, Pashoff just did a 2:19 as he was the driver who came out of the pits. So his time is not indicative, but of course, what we do see is that Weiser with a 51.29 has a faster last lap than Pashoff has a best lap. That means something here with 11 minutes left. Weiser, the gap already showing 11 seconds now, so maybe not gaining as much as he needs to. But again, we're thinking it's going to be very close.
And I was a little off. Jorge did not come out around Weiser, but did come out about 3 seconds ahead of Carl Nordell. Carl spent many, many laps trying to get around Jorge, and now after the pit cycle has found himself behind Esteban once again. He is not going to be happy with that, but again, I believe Carl took tires, right?
Carl did not take tires. He actually only had a 12.5 second pit stop.
And his last lap, did he hit the lap before? Because his last lap is showing a 2:21, so he must have only recently hit as well.
I wonder if he came out of the pits just recently. I think he may have, because his delta was showing very odd. And he was losing time rapidly to Jorge, which makes me think that Jorge probably passed Carl as Carl was coming out of the pits. That is my guess, because I wasn't paying that much attention to what was happening with him at the time. But regardless, that gap is showing at 1.7, so it does seem like Carl might have the pace on Jorge, and will have to once again deal with that battle. And we do also see, I think one thing to keep in mind right now is that Weiser's gap is going down faster than the actual race time was going down. He was 13 seconds back with 13 minutes left. He was at an 8.2 second gap. Oh, it's Tyler Babin goes into the wall. We've got 3 yellow flags at the same time. 1, 2, and 3 drivers all crashing basically in sync. Wow. It doesn't seem like, I was about to say it doesn't seem like any drivers lost positions from that. That is incorrect. Stork just took a spot off Macy due to Macy's shunt. So that is a big deal for one of these drivers.
Yeah, I did confirm while you were gone, Stork is classified incorrectly. He is a pro driver now, not silver like our standing show. So ultimately, Macy does still keep P1 in class. It's still going to be 25 points for him, but Tristan Stork now gets a couple more points in the overall championship, which is the only way he can get points. There is no pro championship, so I'm sure Tristan will be very happy to get at least a little bit more points on the board after Macy lost it. Macy going to be frustrated with that spin, but ultimately nothing lost. Is Jorge.
Jorge! Shoot. Okay, we're going to a replay on Jorge Esteban. Here you go. He sees he gets squirrely on the chute, and is now coming into the toe. Clearly, whoa!
Just flies off.
It looked like
to see helicam on that.
Yeah, it looked like something happened with his tire. Yeah, I think a tire popped. Because it looked like the suspension dropped and then he went flying. We will
so
definitely.
So if he didn't take tires, I wonder if his wear got so much, or maybe they were so overheated.
I wonder, because we know he was struggling with heat in those tires. We are only, we're an hour 15 in, which is not the worst amount of time to be driving on one set of tires, but there you go. That is, you can see very clearly one of his tires has popped. That is Jorge Esteban, a disaster while trying to fight for the last podium position, and that puts Carl Nordell back into the top 3. We see other drivers here, Haukeba, Peters, all jumping, gobbling up those spots.
Yep, that is going to be good, and throwing up the position deltas again. Carl now up 2 spots. Compared to where he started, he reclaims P3 that he took from Jorge earlier this race. Magnus, a very good race, pretty quiet overall. He did get into Paul Krabs, or Paul Krabs got into him going into the corner he just went through there, the inner loop. But nothing happened to Magnus there. He was able to keep it clean and safe. He's, again, had a pretty quiet race. A few seconds back to Kurt Peters, 14 to Carl ahead. So he's just been cruising in P5, now P4 with Jorge going off. Kurt Peters is going to appreciate that. Tristan Stork, Jorge has had a calamity there. He is only now exiting his stop, or his box, having to take new tires and I think fix quite a bit of damage based on the hit that we assumed he had going into the wall.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a wild ending we've got going on here. We do have Weiser 5.5 seconds, so he is still continuing to match that second per minute improvement that he needs to have a shot at overtaking Pashov. And as well, Kurt Peters there. You can see that's, I believe, Paul Krabs in front of him, but 2.5 seconds in front is Magnus Haukeba, which Kurt is putting up very strong lap time, the 51.9 compared to 53.9 for Magnus. So we could see another fight here for P4 with Kurt Peters maybe stealing a spot at the last minute. 5 minutes left to go, lots of time for one of these drivers, Kurt or Magnus, to change positions. I don't know why I worded it like that, so regardless, I think the point got across.
No, it did. We still have, with 5 minutes left, a couple of battles on track. I feel like the past few races, it's been not as many. Nürburgring was pretty exciting. We had some last lap passes there, but Barcelona, I feel like, settled down pretty early. Kyalami, I apologize, I didn't watch the full race, but I think settled down pretty quickly. But yeah. Oh,
Kyalami had one of probably the most exciting first half of a race I've commentated. It's unfortunate you weren't there for that one. It was incredible. But it did settle down in the back half a little bit.
Paul Krabs, yellow flag.
Lost shoot.
It where Jorge did.
Let's see what happens here. It looks like he is, that's the chute. And coming into the toe, and I have a feeling you're right. He is just a different incident, but same corner. As he just asks too much of the tires, and they don't pop, they just stop working.
And I think a little too happy to go on the reverse gear there. He then backs up into the wall. That is, I don't think, going to cause the most amount of damage, but definitely not what you want to have, as Kurt Peters lining up a move on Magnus Haukebe. Or Haukebe, sorry, different people.
Haukebe, yes, and he's got a little bit of pace. He's now alongside, breaks a little bit earlier, a touch earlier.
Ooh,
they are side by side, no tap, and that is Kurt Peters getting through Magnus Haukebe for P4. That looked very scary from our angle, but both drivers making it through safe and Kurt making it through on top.
Can you do a 30-second replay on that?
I would love to do a 30-second replay on that.
I want to go chase cam on that and see how close that was side by side. I mean, Reagan, you mentioned no tap, but it was so close to being one. That was crazy.
Yeah, beautiful move, beautiful driving by both drivers. And I have to say, we'll have to jump over for another replay as soon as this is done, because Walters, I believe, has just gotten past Macy. So we're going to do that right now. Oh, did you just do a replay?
No, I thought you did.
I thought you did.
I hit the replay slide to show the graphic, but I did not select replay.
Well, I guess we don't have a replay, but this is live. This is live,
baby.
This is
live. Oh, shoot.
This is live. No, I thought nobody clicked it. So we're live, but at the same time, we had Richard and Macy go fight back. So here we go for the third time in about a quarter of a lap. We have a position change between Walters and Macy, as these two are just going back and forth. And as well, as if we didn't have enough to keep an eye on, we've got Weiser a second back on Pashov.
I was going to say, we need to go to Weiser and see that battle. This is a crazy finish.
That's sick. And yeah, crazy finish. This fight for both P7 and 8, and this fight for P1, which of course is what we are looking for. Why don't I turn off autopilot, because autopilot's being mean to us.
So they're about halfway through this lap. After this lap will only be one more. We are coming up on less than 2 minutes left, or we passed 2 minutes left. But yeah, Weiser, I think, definitely has the pace, but Pashov, has been an incredible defensive driver before. Might have the moves, but goes wide. I think he made it easy for Weiser. I think this is
Here it is, yeah. It's not quite done and dusted. Pashov does have the inside for this slow turn 9. Wait, no, they're in a different spot of the track. I'm just an idiot. This is, we're coming up on turn 9. Kurt Peters seems, oh no, we've got too much going on here. Here it is.
Oh! Murder! Pashov.
It's just murder.
Holding back. Oh no! Oh, murder!
No. And Carl Nordell is licking his lips. It looks like Carl is thinking, maybe I can get in on this action. I think Weiser is going again. But, yeah, that is a disaster there as Pashov tries to fight back and fights a little bit too hard.
And did Pashov spin?
I think Pashov gave the position back and is going into the pits.
Did he have a target? Do a 30-second replay, please. I think he went into the wall. I don't think he was trying to give a position back.
No? Okay, well, let's see here. That's him coming around. Car looks squirrely. He's going quite slow. and then doesn't. Wow.
I think he may have also had a tire go.
Yeah, you can see that. Look at that. Look at the dust, or look at the white puff there. You're right. That is another driver. We have 2 drivers who have lost their tires. So that is Pashov, an absolute disaster, going from a chance at a win, and he's now in the pits in position 5 and maybe losing even more spots.
Tristan Stork in P6 rounding the final corner. I think might get
no, he got it. He's absolutely got it. That is P6 for Stork. That is an absolute disaster. That is, you hate to see it. I mean, you hate to see the crash too, as here's Pashov still stationary, and I guess a bit of karma, unfortunately for Pashov.
Did Macy pop a tire as well? He's going super slow.
I think Macy popped the tire as well. Let's go chase
him. There's a Porsche curse.
These cars, yeah. Let's.
If you're in a Porsche and you did not take tires, you were gonna have a blowout.
Yeah.
I think he's waiting for Weiser to come around and pass him so that he doesn't have to do another lap. But he needs to stop if that's a strategy. Like, okay, yeah, he's slowing down, making sure Weiser takes it. So yeah, Weiser, winner in his first race with Bez. That was a crazy race for him to win.
Yeah, and a crazy way to win it.
Yeah.
What ended up being a really nice last stint push ended in disaster and then some karmic redemption as Pashov goes in a little too aggressive on the attempt at a re-overtake, and shortly thereafter pops his tires. So that is 3 cars with punctures this race. That is insane.
3 Porsches specifically.
Yeah, 3 Porsches. That's a very good point.
Yeah, I guess let's go away from position deltas. Let's go from position delta to manufacturer. I think there were... Okay, Castillo and Tyler were the Porsches that did not get punches, but I think they both took tires.
I can tell you that Tyler did take tires and Castillo took tires.
Yeah, that is very interesting. So yeah, Jorge Esteban did ultimately finish 5th, according to the board. I think he and Tristan... can you do a replay on them? I think they had a coming together.
Was it? Oh, recently? Yeah. Oh my God, we're still racing. You're right, and there you go.
Yeah. Pashov not happy to lose the win. I think Tristan... Does he... It looks like
I think one of his tires might have gone.
Really?
He's giving off that smoke.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. It's hard to find an angle that shows it.
Can we do free cam? I don't think it's one of these left side tires. Oh, did he teleport?
He may have teleported.
Or I went to Richard. Did you switch to Richard?
Oh no, I wonder if autopilot is on.
No,
it's not on. So we have another driver. Yeah, Macy. Macy had a puncture in the bathtub, and I think we had seen that one. I wonder if it's that front right tire. It looks like it just reset, but that front right tire was quite wobbly. So
yep, that was
drivers
very chaotic.
Their tires there.
Yeah, so Jorge ultimately finishes P5 with the fastest lap. He had a 50.2, I believe. Pashov, after nearly winning the race, finishes P7 ultimately. Richard Walters only 3/10 behind that. Could have gotten a P7 after all of that final couple laps nonsense going on. Tyler Babin, not a race he would have wanted, but still gets 1 point in the overall championship. And Macy, yeah, winner of the silver class, Simone winner of the AM class. So that was hectic. That was
That was-
fun though.
yeah, yeah, that was crazy. That was a very crazy race there. And wow, I guess we'll just leave it at that. So congratulations to Weiser, first race and first victory. Um, and thank you. Glad to have some new faces in chat, some new faces on track. Always nice to have people talking in chat. It makes this just that much more fun for Steven and I. So we will all see you in a couple weeks' time for round 5 at Mount Panorama. Steven, any last thoughts?
So Mount Panorama, that's going to be an endurance race. The admins decided those endurance races are going to be 3 hours long. It's going to be a team event. I believe 2 drivers allowed on each team. And that is going to be separate from the at least solo driver championship. So essentially what we'll have is 8 solo rounds this season that count for the solo championship, and then those 2 endurance events will count for their own championship. There will be an overall 2024 championship, which includes this spring season 5 and then the fall season 6, which will start later this year. And so those endurance events will primarily count for that overall championship for the entire 2024 year. We'll maybe make a graphic, or hopefully one of the other admins can make a graphic more clearly depicting that. But yeah, we will have an endurance race, 3 hours long, and it will start 1 hour earlier than normal. So that is, I don't know what it is in GMT, but yeah, keep an eye out for that. You'll get an email notification 1 hour earlier when we go live for that endurance race. But yeah, Mount Panorama, our first, we've done endurance races before, but they have just been 1 hour and 45 minutes. This will be our first long endurance race on stream. I'm excited for that. Those are my final thoughts.
Fantastic. I'm excited for that too. So look at that. My ACC is crashed, and that is a good time to say goodbye. So thank you all for stopping by, listening, and we'll see you for the first 3-hour endurance race. Talk to you then.
See you, everyone.